All right, well, if you came from the end of the last Corvette video, the engine did die, and we're still stuck on this ramp, so let's see if it restarts. Okay, it runs horrible, and it dies. Come on, baby. All right, let's pop the hood and see. If you guys noticed in the last video, the fuel pressure gauge is gone. I broke the fitting off, but we got the wideband in there, and the air fuel is spot on. We didn't mess with the regulator, and we had already set the fuel pressure. So with this C4, I'm automatically thinking of heavy diagnosis type of issues, but what if we're just out of gas? It is showing that we have fuel, but I think this gauge is way off. I put like 4 or 5 gallons in it when we got it back from the auction, and we haven't driven it all that much, but we have idled it for diagnosis purposes. It was running really rich, so we might have burned through it all. All right, let's see. It's not promising at all. Oh, come back to us. She's back, baby, she's back. It just stays the same now at a quarter tank, so I don't know. All right, let's bring it in and get to fixing. All right, with the C4 back in the shop, we need to tackle this fuel sending unit and figure out why our gauge isn't working. I can't be running out of fuel anymore. Oh, hang on, before we get to the fuel sending unit, I gotta tell you guys something crazy that happened to me since the last Corvette video. I actually spoke to the previous longtime owner of this Corvette. It is some small world Chicago-y type of stuff, but basically I got an email and his cell phone, and I spoke with him. I recorded the entire thing. Super cool, old school Chicago guy named Marlon, and he filled me in on practically the entire history of this car. So he owned it for 20 years. He did a lot of the modifications. He owned it the entire time. It was supercharged as well. I learned that it has a built transmission and a bunch of other stuff. So it's a 13-minute phone call. I recorded the entire thing.
So I named it Ruby. And he texted me, he goes, "Is this Ruby?" And I'm looking, I'm like, "Oh, hell no."
It's Ruby, we got Ruby. And it was so cool to talk to him. He loved this car. He even had his motorcycle painted the same ruby red to match. So I don't want to break up this video, so I made an entire new YouTube channel and posted the video there. So the new channel is LegitStreetCars 2. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So you guys can check out the video there if you'd like. The link is down below. And then I'm going to be posting a lot of random stuff, kind of some uncut stuff, silly stuff we do in the shop, updates and other things that would normally break up the videos you see here that have kind of a format where we finish them with an actual result, even if it takes me weeks and weeks of filming. So I don't want to break these types of videos up with that kind of stuff, so I made a whole new channel for you guys to go subscribe to. So check out the video, subscribe to LegitStreetCars 2. Now let's get to this fuel sending unit. All right, so before we remove this fuel sending unit, we definitely just want to do a little bit of cleanup. I will be doing a full detail video on this car, so don't worry, that's coming after we fix it all. Woo! Oh yeah, this is gonna be a very satisfying detail video. There's a little water drain. We know how good this thing is gonna look, and I'm not gonna get carried away here, I swear, but I just wanna clean some of this black plastic. I'm obviously excited to fix why it's running bad, but I would be lying if I said I didn't want to just go ahead and buff this thing out and clean it. I gotta do the mechanicals first though, I think in this case, make the most sense. All right. That's enough. That's enough for now. All right, so getting to this fuel sending unit is pretty easy. First step is removing your super crusty fuel cap. Then we need to remove this cover. And we got a couple behind here. And then this guy just pops right off. Very nice and easy. All right, then we just have to remove this rubber gasket, if you will, this little tray. And we'll maybe be able to see how they wired in the secondary fuel pump as well. I'm pretty curious on that. Here's our little tray with the drain. And here it looks to be some more of the red corrugated tube, so I'm just assuming there's aftermarket-y stuff in here. Yep, this has got to be the wiring. Might be spliced in for activation, maybe? I don't know. To see how they wired this. All right, so let's remove some hoses first. I believe this is going to be the return, I think. They have this guy double clamped. Nothing wrong with that. Whatever works, right? Okay. This looks to be the main feed right here. This looks to be our evap line. Gotta get out of the way. All right, so far pretty painless. All right, and then just a few 10 mils. So this is interesting. Each bolt has a little O-ring for a seal. Okay, with all the bolts out, we can lift up on this. And we do have to disconnect this connector, but I just want to see the back side of it before I start yanking at it. Yeah, it does look like it just pops up. All right, here she goes. So the gas gauge in this car does not work, so I was gonna have to do this anyway, see what's going on with the sending unit. I mean, it works, like the gauge moves, but it's very inaccurate. All right, so there's our little sump that the fuel pump sits in. So that way when you take turns, the fuel pump always has fuel around it. So without that, it would just be sloshing around everywhere. It definitely has some debris in there. We'll have to clean that up. We could probably just suck it out though. But what's important is that this tank is not rusted at all. So right now we're using an analog meter to check the potentiometer here. And this should be a clean sweep. Definitely has some dead spots here. Oh, there it's back again. Okay. There's something going on with the sensor. We might be able to clean it and fix it though. So as I move my finger, it should move linear, and it is not. Here's a good look at how this works. This is making contact here, and it'll change the resistance as it sweeps. And so if this doesn't make contact, like if this is too loose, that could be an issue too. First things first, we want to clean this with electrical contact cleaner. So what we're going to do now to test this is we're going to sweep our lead across. And that's nice and linear. Oh yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. Then if we go back here, I wonder if this is just not making a good contact. Yeah, it's just kind of going crazy. Okay, we can make an adjustment, that's for sure. This is where most of the rust came from, just because of condensation and whatnot. But if we can clean this up and salvage this unit, that would save us about $400. I'm gonna try taking this apart, getting a better clean in there, and maybe adjusting that arm. Hopefully we can fix this guy. So this is just a wire that's wound up, and as it sweeps across it, it essentially has to go through more of the wire and offers more resistance. That's how it adjusts what the gauge reads. So check it out. You can see the part that's shiny. That's where it's more worn out just from sweeping back and forth so many times. I want to see though, can we flip this around and get a fresh side and get another 30 years out of it? Well, let's see. Now it's all nice and new again. And this has a little spring to it, and I don't think this is the issue. I think this is making a good contact. So let's just put this back together and see what happens. All right, so let's put this guy back on. Like so, and just tighten up some screws. So it looks like I need to bend this plate back a little bit where the arm hits it now. No big deal. All right, so this is a full tank. And as I slowly move the arm, you can see the needle moving much more consistently now. Keep in mind, this is gonna go very slow in the car when it's burning through gas. We're burning through a full tank of gas in like 5 seconds. And we'll do it again here. Yeah, this is nice. It's really not that big of a difference in the meter reading. Okay, so now the big test to see if this fixed it is to plug it in, and we'll watch the gauge in the car. So with the ignition on, it's reading empty, and you can see that the gas gauge is now moving, and we should be at around half right now. And now we're gonna go make our way all the way to full. Almost at full, a little bit more, and that is full right there. Perfect, we fixed the fuel sending unit for like no money. Literally at all. All right, so we're gonna clean out the fuel tank with our pneumatic sucking device and a hose. It's hard to control our hose, but we're getting it. Oh, there we go. Ooh, that's a good one right there. Oh yeah. This is awesome. We wanna get some of this too. This should be like a game at an arcade. Yeah, look at that. Much easier than dropping the tank on a C4. That is a big job. All right, so I'm all done cleaning up the fuel tank. It is looking pretty because we removed all of this. Look at all this nasty stuff. Ew, that looks actually really cool. Oh, man, this is kind of satisfying. Look at that. Woo! All right, so now we got to clean up some of this rust. All right, so we've cleaned everything up pretty well. This fuel pump works perfectly fine, as we know from the last video. So let's reinstall this and a new fuel filter. I do think this is an aftermarket fuel pump in the tank because they soldered in these wires. And we tried to get a new sock for it, and the factory one is totally different, but this one's fine. I cleaned it up. Everything's good here. So let's just go back together with it with our freshly cleaned tank. And we just gotta slide it in like that. So we're gonna push our yellow connector in like that. And then we have this retaining clip that slides over like that. Then we just plug this guy in like that, and we cleaned up the pins already, so everything is good to go. And then we'll just go ahead and reinstall this guy. All right, so we have all the bolts in, our hoses, everything is good to go. And you know I'm gonna replace this nasty gas cap. We got a factory one, genuine. The icing on the fuel tank cake. Sweet. All right, guys, so now we are going to replace this fuel filter. And this is the same fuel filter on like every GM product for like 30 years. And that broke free really nice and easy. All right, let's see what we get out of here. Ah! We get fuel. I thought all the pressure was gone, but apparently not. I like how they put this bolt right here, the line right on top of it. Come on now. GM, the 90s and 80s. God, at this point in the C4's life, it was almost 10 years old. And not even close to being done. They ran this from 1984 to 96. So was that the longest Corvette generation run? Or was that the C3? Let me know in the comments section, Corvette dudes and dudettes. There we go. Sound a little crunchy. All right. This fuel filter doesn't seem to have too much stuff coming out of it, but man, is it at some weird angle? Is that normal? This looks totally like, look at that. That is very weird. It's bent. Huh. Oh wait, no, there's that. Yeah, that is actually kind of dirty now that we're kind of reverse flushing it the other way. But it's not the original. It is a Fram filter made in China. Yeah, that's pretty dirty. Look at that. This definitely needed to be done, that's for sure. Yeah, this guy's definitely bent. Look at our new one is perfectly straight. Very weird. So these O-rings are not in the best of condition. We definitely want to swap these out. They could be original. 1993 fuel filter O-rings. Oh yeah, these have definitely seen better days. Now look at this, we're taking pieces of the old O-ring off. That's not a good sign, but luckily we have a couple of brand new ones. All right, nice and new. And then when you're putting your fuel filter in, make sure it's going in the right way. They might have an arrow or it might say out. So then we need to feed the fuel filter in this way, out that way. Yeah, this is on a crazy angle. Not really sure what's going on here. I don't believe these lines have ever been replaced, but it's just a little off. We're gonna have to definitely bend this down. So I get why the fuel filter looks the way it does. This is very strange. Oh, this is crazy. I mean, look at this. Yeah, we're gonna definitely have to bend something here, that's for sure. I guess this isn't that big of a deal. We just kind of hold it like that and it threads right in. I don't even think it needs the bracket. I think the bracket was causing the issue, holding it down. I'm sure there was some kind of bracket here, but it's really not necessary at all. Like, this isn't touching anything. And I don't know if this looks kind of like a homemade job. Is this a factory GM bracket? I don't know. All right, we'll just tighten these lines up. Yeah, and without the bracket holding it down onto the frame, it's in a way more natural position. It's almost like they had to bend the fuel filter to make that bracket work. Let's fire it up. After the fuel filter, we'll prime it up. There's our antenna. Make a weird noise. Ah! Sounds so bad. That is not the fuel pump. There we go. There's our supercharged LT1 back to life. All right, let's shut it down and move on. All right, next up, we have to replace the header gasket. So I believe that's leaking. Hopefully it's not a cracked header. So right now the engine is cold and I don't want to start it to heat it up, but this is what it sounds like. We still got the exhaust leak, that's for another video. So clearly we have an exhaust leak from somewhere in this area, and I do believe it is this gasket. Look at this thing. It's just coming apart and it's a cheapo. So that's probably it, fingers crossed. These exhaust manifold bolts, aside from being kind of rusty, I mean, I don't even know how in the world we're supposed to get at those. But one problem at a time. We're gonna spray these down with some good old Cree oil penetrating oil. This stuff works really well. I've been using it for like the last 6 months or so, and I'll drop a link and a discount code down below, but it's so good. And it smells so good too. We'll get this guy too. And this is gonna smoke a little when we're done because this header wrap is just absorbing everything. All right, so this is really bad. Look at this. We can't even get our tools in here. There's no clearance for the wrench or a socket. You can forget about getting a socket on pretty much all these. So we're gonna have to go at this with an open end wrench, which stinks because I don't wanna put too much torque on that, but let's just see. Wait, what in the world? Is that spinning or did I break it? Oh my God, this is spinning. What? Are these bolts just loose? It's possible. I mean, this is gonna take forever, but yeah, that thing was just really loose. Now it's kind of chicken or egg. Did the gasket shrink up and deteriorate, and that's why these bolts are loose, or did they never tighten them? Could we possibly tighten them and fix this leak? That is a great question. All right, so it looks like we have to get the EGR tube out of the way. So for that, we have to get to these two 10mm bolts down there, which you can do without taking the fuel rail off, but it's very difficult, and the fuel rail is very easy. Okay, losing a bunch of fuel here. That's okay. Now we can get to these really easily. All right, there's that. Let me take this hose off. There we go. Okay, yeah, this nut does not want to cooperate just yet. It will though. You will obey, nut. Oh, come on. Turn. No. Turn. I don't think so. Oh, yes. Yes, you will turn. All right. You guys ever have nuts that like literally talk back to you when you're working on cars? Or am I a nut? I don't know. It's normal, right? It's turning. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. Now we have a ton of room. Oh yeah, this is easy. So this is kind of funny. This normally would route spark plug wires and kind of hold them, but completely not needed in this situation. It just gets in the way. So I don't know why they put that in. So the wires go on the bottom. It just gives us less room to literally get to the bolt that's holding it in, which is also super loose. Okay. Oh wow, that is a very short bolt. Wow, and it's got two, what in the world? It's got two washers. It doesn't, why? Okay, we can get rid of this guy. Look at all this. It wasn't giving this thing a chance to do anything. Are these even the right bolts? Like, look at that, that's tiny. Okay, I was gonna say that's not a header bolt. That was just holding that guy up right above. You can kind of see that where it went in, but that was not a header bolt. It still needed to get taken out. We also gotta figure out this oil dipstick tube because it just doesn't leak or anything, but it just moves around. And we'll take this guy off for more clearance. All right, let's try one of these. Oh, come on, look at that. Look at that, guys. Yeah, these are all loose. I mean, I could just tighten these and see if the exhaust leak goes away, but I'm gonna say that that gasket's compromised already. And if they're all gonna come out like this and cooperate, let's just do it right and get a new gasket on this side. More of the same, totally loose. All right, cool, I'll take it, honestly. I'd rather have this than have them be stuck in the head because there's no room to drill or do really anything. I don't want to take the engine out. All right, before we get too crazy with all those bolts up top, we're gonna take the flange off. Where'd it go? I heard it. All right, since we're right here, I'm gonna remove this cat pipe. I just wanna look inside, make sure the cat's not clogged or anything. Come on, baby. Almost there. It's a tight fit. No leaks, that's what we like. Oh, so close. Probably don't need to do this at all, but you never know. I would like to verify cat functionality. And we can do that by looking at the cat. While we're in there. It's a catanoscopy. All right, well that side of it looks good. It's the back side. This side is pretty much impossible to see, but luckily we have the old borescope, which I guess in hindsight we could have just stuck in here with the exhaust still attached. But we like to do things properly so we can see that light, and that's good. These guys aren't gonna look perfect, but it's not melted or destroyed, so that's nice. All right, just because I'm crazy, I wanna take a look at the inside of this guy. Oh, this guy's loose. Oh, I was just gonna take this O2 sensor out and stick the camera in there, but we need to tighten this flange up. God, what is, like, everything on the exhaust is loose. I mean, I'm happy. I've definitely run into a lot of stuck bolt situation. Look at this O2 sensor. I'm just talking right through it and it just comes right out. This is a Chicago car, but it wasn't driven in any kind of inclement weather, but some stuff is just straight up not tightened. Oh, this O2 sensor looks really good. Single wire, the infancy, the beginning of O2 sensing. Okay, yeah, this cat's definitely not melted apart or anything, so that's good. All right, we got a swivel on this one, so that's nice. Oh, she's coming. Oh, that gasket is crusty. Oh yeah. Okay, that's different. Use a little bit of different hardware here, no biggie. We're gonna get this dipstick tube out of the way. There we go, just pulls right out. Oh yeah, look at this thing, it's just broken right in half. Yep, just an old gasket. We don't really have to take this exhaust manifold out, but I'm going to anyway. Let's take a really good look at it, make sure it's not cracked. I think if we remove this spark plug, it'll make it easier. What are the old spark plugs doing? Okay, wow, still looks good. And we replaced these, but it then ran rich for quite some time, so not bad. Whew. Black lung pop. Ooh. I have to rewrap this guy. Okay. These little LT1 shorties. Look at this, there's a nut in here. What in the world? Where's that tube? Yeah, this tube goes in here. This seals in here. I don't know what the deal is here, but there's a nut placed inside. All right, so I just cleaned up the mating surface. I checked for cracks. We don't have any. It was just a simple gasket. And I'm not gonna remove all of this wrap, but I am going to re-wrap over some areas, just give ourselves a little bit more heat shielding for those spark plug wires. I have so much of this stuff left over from the Turbo Trans Am. I used to run actual turbo manifolds on that car, and they were a pain in the butt. They would melt spark plug wires all the time. So I've definitely been down this path. Now I have factory cast manifolds that I picked up for like 20 bucks on the Trans Am. They work perfectly, they don't burn anything, and it produces all the power you need. So while you're doing this, you just want to pull it tight every time. Some people wet these, and it just depends on what product you're using. This stuff can go on dry. And these metal clamps work really well to hold the wrap on, but if you don't have any, a little trick here is to use a cotter pin and just put it at the bottom of the primary so you can't see it, even though it's kind of hard to see right now. And basically we've woven that into a couple of the layers here to hold it in place. And here, I'll show you how this works. You just take a cotter pin and you just poke it through like this, and now it's piercing the layers underneath as well, like so. And here you go. And this is what you see from the top, and it's not going anywhere. All right, here is our final wrap job. We just did these two primaries here, give us a little bit more insulation from those spark plug wires, and we're ready to go back on. All right, little shorty header is going back to its home. It does not look possible, but I did get it out, so it means it's gotta go back in, right? Lots of hoses and harnesses and vacuum tubes, and I don't know, sometimes I really appreciate the LS one after working on this LT one. Not necessarily for the header job, it's difficult on those two, but just everything else. This is just going in kind of easy so far. I shouldn't jinx myself. I have all the spark plugs out because those would definitely get destroyed if I tried to finagle this thing in here. Like that coolant sensor, it's just begging to get ruined right now. I see you, little buddy, don't worry. I say that and it's like, snap, get in there, yes. Yes! Now we can get the gasket in, which we definitely could have just left this in here and just done one of these and slid the gasket in, but I really wanted to clean the mating surface on both sides and do this right. All right, so now we can slide in our brand new shiny exhaust manifold gasket that is never gonna leak for the rest of time. Hey, check it out. I found brand new header bolts in my miscellaneous stash of parts. So we're gonna use these. They're so shiny. Shiny, but equally as difficult to install. But very shiny. Oh, I think I got it. All right, all the bolts are in. Just doing a final torque on them, which is really difficult, but I was able to get a ratchet and a socket on some of these, so that's nice. It's little by little, guys. It's like an hour of messing around with these little bolts. Just how it is. This one's definitely a wrench. Just a wee bit at a time. This is a great time to reflect on life and just kind of appreciate the moment and meditate on something. I don't know. I just much rather have my supercharged V8 running right now, honestly. Click. All right, exhaust manifold is fully bolted back in, and I actually replaced the spark plug wires as well and routed them completely different than they had before. So these two right here were getting burned up on the exhaust manifold. Look at this. So this one was getting burnt up here, which probably isn't a big deal, but as I pulled the spark plug wire off, it ripped in half. So I don't think it was completely torn like this the entire time, but as you can tell, it was not in good condition. But also with the exhaust pipe right here, they used to be over here by the frame, and they were just getting too hot, I think. So it was unnecessary. So we tucked them up behind here. Everything is nice and out of the way now. This other side was very loose, but not leaking. So I'll tighten this up. Exhaust is done. All right, we got this guy going back on, and then our fuel rail. All right, now with the world's easiest fuel rail ever. Love my LT1. You're just so good. It's just a Chevy small block, really. It is a good engine. Just has some goofy electronic stuff, like the OptiSpark, which actually isn't really that unreliable. Like if they didn't put the water pump right in front of it, and the intake couldn't leak on it, and it was vented from the get-go, it would have been fine. Like it wouldn't have been a stain in GM's history. But, you know, everybody messes up, right? All right, we'll give our fuel pressure regulator a reference. There you go, little buddy. All right, with the exhaust manifold gasket done, I want to fix a sloppy throttle cable, and also I think that this car has a weird shift extension, meaning that when it shifts at the proper RPM. It drops down too much. It's just a little weird, and it shifts really hard at part throttle, and that might be because we have to adjust the cables here for the ASR, which stands for acceleration slip regulation. Basically old school traction control that I think was only on the Corvette for 92, 93, I think. All right, so we found some old work instructions online on how to adjust this. And the first step is to remove this cable here. Then we're gonna take a tiny drill bit and put it in there. And we're just gonna make sure it doesn't touch the gear. It's kind of a weird procedure, but okay. So we just release this tab here, and then there's a button right here that you gotta press. Oh, it's not working. Who knows when this was adjusted last, but if they did the transmission and didn't adjust this, it could cause for some weird issues. There we go. It just pushed in, and now it's just pulling out the cable. And then we're just gonna set this to 6 foot-pounds. And then without a socket, just our extension, we're gonna go in here, and we just heard an adjustment there. There we go. Then we're gonna hold it at 6 foot-pounds and then flip this guy back, like that. Pull out our drill bit, and then we'll reinstall this cable here. Slide this guy back in, get in there. There we go. Okay, ASR set. So I know this was kind of a weird procedure with a drill bit and a torque wrench, but basically what we did was we synchronized the TV cable, the shift cable with the throttle cable. So now everything should happen at the time that it was designed to happen. So hopefully that will fix our little shift extension issue when we go for a test drive. A nice, leisurely, normal test drive. I don't know, I think it's faster. Those spark plug wires though, I think they were a little compromised. Woo! She is definitely faster. So a couple of videos ago when we didn't go wide open throttle, you know, it was like, okay, you know, whatever. And then in the last video, it was pretty fast, good AFR and all that. I think we had a couple compromised spark plug wires, even though they only have a couple thousand miles on them. They would just, you guys saw them, they're in bad shape. And it's boost weather. All right, here we go. Hold on tight. Woo! Oh man, that got up to like 6 PSI. And before we had that shift extension issue where it dropped down too much, that's fixed now too. just to let you guys know, I am getting new tires and new wheels, which is gonna be in the next video, which is the big first wash detail video, cleaning of everything. So anyway, let's continue on. We have a few more things to fix. Well, really nothing else to fix at the shop. We just have some more maintenance items to do. That's about it. All right, so we're gonna swap out the rest of the fluids on the Corvette, so differential, transmission, and brake fluid, because everything else is new, so why not? Why not? And we did learn from the previous owner that he did have to replace this diff. He blew up the original with all the added power. There we go. Doing this the easy way, people. You can just suck this out from the fill tube. All right, so after you've sucked all the fluid out, we're just gonna fill it back up like so. And this is the Amsoil synthetic, and it does have the limited slip additive in it. You can buy it separately as well, you know, if you want to put more in there or whatnot, but this is the proper fluid for the Corvette. And so basically we're just gonna fill this up until it starts coming out again, and then we plug it and we're done. All right, there we go. You can see a solid stream there. Then we'll just tighten up our plug. And look at this, limited slip lube only. Done. Next up, we're gonna swap out the fluid and filter for the transmission. Even though we know this was replaced less than 10,000 miles ago, with a built unit, if you guys listen to the phone call. Is it got a built trans? I noticed it was painted.
Yes.
But while we're in there, let's treat our Corvette right and drop all the bolts. So a lot of these older cars do have transmission fluid change intervals. I don't know why they don't give you a drain plug somewhere in here. You just have to make a mess. The irony here is that there's a lot of cars that have lifetime transmission fluid and they put a drain plug in here, like a lot of these old Mercedes, like the wagon. Anyone else have weird car tastes? Like I love my Mercedes, but like I'm down with the C4 too. It should make sense. All right, you can kind of guide it into one corner. There is nothing wrong with this fluid, but I just like to take stuff apart and see what their condition is. But you should do this anyway. It's cheap insurance. If you got a good working transmission, why not? All right, here we go. There we go, there we go. Any big chunks? No? No rocks? I don't know what that is. It's organic. Whatever, we're good. Gonna pick up a little of this on there. I got an old cork gasket, and here's our filter. Oh yeah, we're in good shape. All right, let's get our diesel fluid. Yeah, this stuff works so good. This is a very strong magnet. Jeez. Oh no, the trans is destroyed. It's okay if your magnet has a lot of this gray stuff on there. Give it a little scrub-a-dub-dub. All right, so we have our new filter going on in, like so. All right, so we're upgrading to a rubber transpan gasket. And let's not forget to install our transmission cable bracket. All right, we'll torque this pan so we don't get any leaks. All right, we're filling her up with the good stuff. My Amsoil synthetic. Oh yeah, I need a bigger funnel. We had a bigger funnel. I don't know where it went though. I ran it through the gears. Check this transmission fluid right quick. And that's right where it needs to be if it was cold, which it is. And we should be good. I'll add a little bit more. All right, trans fluid is set. And we are gonna get rid of this nasty brake fluid. Do a little brake flush. Get out. Ew. I always like to start off my brake fluid flushes by sucking the old stuff out and pouring some new stuff in, so we're not just sending garbage in the lines. So anyway, at this point, you guys have seen me do a brake flush like 400 times. We're gonna start at the caliper furthest away from the master cylinder, and then after we get done with the rear, we'll do the passenger, driver side. Brake fluid will be clean. Let me snap my fingers and just show you guys. Brake fluid flush is done. Let's go off for another ride. All right, now that we've fixed pretty much everything, we can actually put fuel in this guy. It's my C4, baby. That's right. 40th anniversary, ruby red. Yeah, it's got shorty headers, Borla, supercharged, MSD ignition. Yep. Oh, gas is kind of expensive. That's enough. I'm a C4 guy. I'm not like a C8 guy. Can't be affording all that fuel. Woo! Drifting is awesome. That adjustment that we made earlier definitely fixed that. Just point and shoot. Whoa. And then let out. That's what the ASR off. When you kick it on, it interferes too much. It's not fun. This car is just so easy to beat on. It handles well. It's controllable but fast. I like it. All right, guys, we are getting some before B-roll footage right now because the next video is the first wash, the first buff, ceramic coating. We have new wheels for it as well, and I cannot wait for this transformation. This thing is gonna look so good. There is a lot of nice stuff hiding under this dirt. This interior is gonna be so satisfying to clean. And yeah, I've left it this dirty for that video because I think this is gonna be one of the best transformation videos that we make. It looked even worse when we got it from the auction. So anyway. Oh man, all right guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, share this video with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already, stay tuned for the next detail video. It's coming out in just a couple of days, and most importantly, have an awesome day. We'll see all of you in the next video.